We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense, and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to episode 6. Can you believe it? This is episode 6 with Gray Lives on the Rise. I am the creator and the host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and with my lovely friend that I've known for over 30 years, Dr. Letitia, really known as Tishglover. Beautiful soul, beautiful person, inside and out. Let me give you all of her information after I tell you who is underwriting this. And it's my company, Oyende Enterprises, specifically Jamila Sense. Here it is. I have an all-natural line of products that heal the spirit, mind, and body. All of my products are natural. And Jamila Sense is wonderful. All you do, it's an aromatherapy product. And all you do is just put a few drops, and you see how clear it is? No additives, no food coloring, none of that. I'm holistic and I'm natural. So you just put 3 drops in your hands, and then you rub it, and you breathe in. And all your stress just goes away. If you have migraine headaches, sinus congestion, sinus headaches, anxiety, depression, PTSD, any stress like that, it goes away. And it's also good for flies and mosquitoes. You put it on your skin and your neck and whatever, they won't come near you. So Jamila Sense, it's one of my companies under Oyende Enterprises. We have several companies, and Gray Lives on the Rise is our newest baby, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before I do that, Gray Lives on the Rise came to me as a download from Spirit, God, Jehovah, Allah, whatever name you want to give that energy. As I was walking about 2 years ago, this energy is just the download came into my consciousness and said, there is nothing directed at your demographic of 50 plus, and you need to do something about that. I said, oh, okay, Spirit, okay. And then I said, okay, what should I name it? And then Gray Lives Matter came to me. I said, no, that's too cliche-ish, overplayed. Then Gray Lives on the Rise. I said, I like that. So then I started talking to my friends, and they agreed with me that there is nothing for us out there except Medicare and AARP. And my friends are not feeble. My friends are not looking like they're ready for the retirement home. They are vibrant and alive and just mature and golden. I said, okay. And then AARP, that's dealing with people who have retired. And a lot of my friends have not retired, like yours truly. I'm doing my own businesses. And like Dr. Glover, still some wonderful things. So there are people who have retired, but a lot of us have not. So those 2 categories bring to mind things that are very stereotypic. And those are negative connotations connected with aging. And I said, okay, we need to relanguage some words. We're not old, we're not elderly, we're not senior, really. The words that we use now are mature, golden, seasoned, very different kind of energy. So it came from that. And then the download said, okay, Spirit was leading me to first get all of my speakers lined up, so I wouldn't be scrambling for speakers weekly, and then have the consciousness raised by having branding done, like with t-shirts and mugs. So Dr. Glover has a mug, I have the t-shirt, yay. See, so, and that's raising the consciousness. So people who are not even speakers are buying merchandise. So I said, oh, okay. And then now redefining what age looks like. Gray lives doesn't mean that your hair has to be gray. It can be black, dyed, laid to the side, bald, long, short, wigs, braids. It doesn't matter. It's a consciousness. How do you feel about yourself in terms of your consciousness? So I have a wonderful lineup of speakers already laid out for me. Whatever Spirit tells me, it always works. I'm not scrambling for speakers. We're booked. I have people booked all the way up into the end of 2024 and going into 2025. So this is a movement that was given to me by the Almighty. So it's working like crazy. And I'm so, so happy. So having said all that, I want to bring to you my dear friend, Dr. Letitia Glover, who is amazing. Now, the historically Black colleges and universities of Atlanta provided Dr. Letitia Glover with the foundation and love of learning that have directed the course of her life as a young child. She participated in Saturday programs at Spelman College. In high school, she was one of the few girls to study in the summer biomedical institutes. As a 15-year-old student at Morris Brown College, she was nurtured and supported as she pursued scientific studies. They provided her with the foundation and self-confidence she would need years later as she pursued other academic endeavors. Dr. Letitia Glover is a retired, award-winning science educator who has traveled throughout the world, okay? Teaching teachers and students to use metacognition, which is learning how I learn, techniques to help them become more proficient academically. She started teaching more than 30 years ago at Northside High School of Performing Arts. And early in her career, she realized the impact of the arts on learning. As a result, she became interested in brain-based learning. She has taught teachers around the world how to teach in the way the brain learns, which is very important because a lot of times teachers are not teaching the way the children learn. They're just teaching using a program script, and it's not effective. For her efforts, she has inspired students to incorporate strategies into their learning. And when students know how to process information, it will translate into all areas of their lives. Upon retirement, she began focusing her energies on film. Her lifelong love, however, her mother encouraged her to pursue a more traditional academic career. Our parents always tell us to do something that's more pragmatic, even though it doesn't speak to our soul, because they want us to not starve. And we won't starve. But Dr. Glover believes in helping students develop a necessary foundation for life and future studies. Having benefited from summer science programs as a child, she has worked with many tutorial programs throughout her career. In her school district, she was instrumental in organizing a Saturday academic support program, which used many of her resources and was modeled throughout her state, which is Georgia. In addition to her travels, she has also taken students on many field trips to enhance their learning experiences. She believes the best learning occurs when students can apply real-life, real-world experiences to the theoretical concepts that are studied in the classroom. She loves working with students the most. Since retirement, she has become a screenwriter and film producer. Her short film, which I attended the premiere, it was amazing. It was wonderful. You need to see it. You need to see it. It was wonderful. Her short film, Watch Night, Watch Out has been screened at film festivals worldwide. Now, what she's going to do is talk about fulfillment after retirement. That's the thing. And she's done so many wonderful things that you have heard me say. I admire this woman. She has a heart of gold. She's just amazing. People around the world know her. She's very well known and loved by many. So I bring to you Dr. Letitia Tishglover.
And by the way, just call me Tish. You know, I like to be very humble and everything, and I don't really like a lot of titles, so we'll just keep it simple and call me Tish. But yes, I'm delighted to be here. Jamila is, I consider one of my childhood friends. I've known her forever, and we've been through many, many, many things together. And you know what? And it's all made us better and stronger and
Yes.
made us even closer. So I'm just so grateful and so proud of the tremendous things that she's doing and the way she's trying to help us as we become more mature and seasoned and transition from one chapter of our lives into another chapter. I think it's very
Yes.
important that you prepare, and if you're going to retire from your job, that you have other hobbies, you have other activities. Some of us get part-time jobs, which are wonderful. I have a crazy part-time job, which I work 2 weeks at a time, but I love it because I can work 2 weeks and go on a 3-week vacation. That's always a lot of fun. But I think you should find what you like to do and prepare for it. Before I retired, I started taking classes. I started taking playwriting classes at the Alliance Theater here in Atlanta. And I realized, and the teacher, I guess within about a month, one day told me, she said, "Oh, you're not a playwright, you're a screenwriter." And I said,
Oh.
"Why do you say that? Are you discouraging me?" She said, "Oh, no, it's the way you write scenes." She said, you know, when you write for the stage, you write in a very small, you know, surrounded, you know, a very small physical area. She said, but when you write for the film, you write large. She said, you like to describe babbling brooks and forests where the leaves are goldenrod and orange. And she said,
Yeah.
that's not, she said, you don't really have that on the stage. So I started taking classes and it has just been wonderful. I've truly enjoyed it. So I think everybody should find something that you want. One of the worst things to do is to retire and have nothing to do. I have friends who retire. I know I have one little friend, love her dearly, who calls me 3 times a day and she'll say, "What are you doing?" And I say, "Oh, I'm getting ready to go here, go there." And I say, you got to always have friends around you. You've got to have activities and you've got to keep your life busy because I think that the brain works best when it's active, when it's engaged. And one thing I really appreciate about Jamila, she's always multitasking. She's always doing 10 things at a time. And I think I'm kind of guilty of that. I always
Yeah.
have trips planned, things to do, and that's what you got to do. You got to keep it moving
Yeah. Well,
always.
I admire what you have done in your academic career and post-academic career in your retirement stage, which you really are not really retired because you're so active, especially in the world of film, in terms of teaching teachers and students how to learn best. Because what happens, unfortunately, in this country, they have like a template that they use to teach children, and it doesn't work for everyone. And what's happened is this system has not been successful for the most part in terms of educating children because they don't really use things that are very effective. It's just like we've come up with this template. It's over 100 years old. We're going to make it work. We're going to hammer people into it. And children are checking out. They're just checking out. And what you've done when you were, before you retired, is you understood as a scientist, because you're a researcher, you understood how the brain works. So that's really, really commendable. And I think what is going on now in terms of your second career, which is film and producing and all that, you understand how to make things work because you understand how people interact and you understand how the brain functions. So you've been very effective with that. And I think that because I watched your film and I was so impressed with the fact that you were able to get the actors, get the director, producer, all those people on a limited budget, because you just knew how to make it happen. So not only have you done it for others, but in terms of understanding yourself, you're able to see a situation, assess it properly, and then implement the ideas to make sure that it becomes reality. So
Well,
what inspired you
I have to tell you a
to,
funny story about the film. I consider that divine intervention.
yeah,
Uh,
like mine, okay.
about 2 years before we did it, I had written a screen. Well, actually, I'll just tell you, the film is a story about what happened the night the slaves were freed. And it's a story that my grandfather told us as children, and his grandmother, who had actually been a slave, had told him. My great my great grandmother was my great great grandmother was born in 1820 and she died in 1920. She lived
Wow.
100 years. And my grandfather was born in 1896. So apparently, we call her Grandma Judy. Grandma Judy would stay at the house and keep the children while everybody else went to work in the field. So she would tell my grandfather and his siblings this story. And so my grandfather just told us. And years later, when I was taking a film class, my professor said that story needs to be told to the world. And that's when I wrote it. And so but during COVID, I said, I want to shoot this puppy. And so I started going around, and one guy told me he could do it, but it was $365,000. And I said, wow, I don't have money like that. So anyway, I started talking to a few of my cousins. And then I talked to one of the actress, in fact, the lead actress in there. She said, and she's been in a lot of stuff. I mean, she's been in, she's a SAG actress. She's been in lots of productions. This woman make $3,000 or $4,000 a day. She said, oh, I'll help you. I'll just do it. Don't worry about it. And I'll get the other actors. And she did. And they didn't charge me anything. And so we were going to do it at Stone Mountain. This is divine intervention. Stone Mountain had told us $30,000 for the location. And I said, oh my God, my cousin who worked at CNN, he was the executive producer. He said, well, we'll figure it out. We'll just sell fish on fish plates. I said, no. So then out of the blue, here comes another friend of mine who says, I know this old park that was a slave plantation, which means it's a public place and you should be able to use it. Just get permission. And that's what we did. So we ended up paying nothing for the location, which was incredible. And then my cousins, for the other things like the costumes, my cousins started stepping up and saying, oh, I'll pay for this, I'll pay for that. Make a long story short, it ended up, we got it done on really literally like no money because people started volunteering and my brother said, I'll pay for all of the food and all that stuff. He paid and then my other cousin paid for all the costumes. So that's why I said it was divine intervention. We got it made. And then my cousin who worked at CNN, he said, I want it shot with black magic cameras. Now, I don't know what that is. So he knew he wanted certain sound systems. And so we got all that and voila, here we are. So I'm just so grateful. I am just so thankful. So if you want to do something, a way can be made out of no way. Let no one from anywhere discourage you. You just do what you got to do because I never saw it coming. My cousins got so excited. They literally just took the script apart. They said, well, you need this, you need that. And we would have meetings and I would be like, wow, it came together, And my oldest cousin, he said, well, this is a tribute to our grandfather and his siblings who used to tell these stories. He said, this is how we pay homage to them. He said, because I want my children to know this, He said, I want them to know. He said, even though you said it was, like 150 years ago, he said it really was not a long time ago. And he said, our children need to understand in the light of today's climate, we don't ever want them to go back to this. So I was just shocked. I was just shocked, inspired, amazed, and just, and I'm still so grateful. I'm still so grateful to all of them. But don't let anybody discourage you. If you see something you want to do, then you go do it. My grandmother on my father's side used to always have had a saying that she would always tell me. She said, you let others run their mouth, but you run your business. So just run your business and don't let anybody discourage you. If they got something to say, I hate to be like the kids, how the kids say, hey, talk to the hand because the ears don't work. You know, you just let them talk to the hand, and you let, because the ears are not working, and you just do what you have to do. You know, it's my, I am so inspired today. And I know I probably should not say political things, but in 1984, I was a delegate to the Democratic Convention in San Francisco, and we were trying to get a plank in the platform about South Africa. We lost that day 2,000 to 200, and we were led by the great Shirley Chisholm. And I
Yeah.
remember I came out, we went into a meeting and we founded our little political organization. And you know, the political, you know, our political Congress of Black, National Political Congress of Black Women. And we were sitting there, and I remember I just sat in the chair and I just cried because I'd worked so hard and we had lost so badly. And Mrs. Chisholm was amazing. I am so grateful to God that I had an opportunity to meet a woman like her. She told us, well, she told me personally, she said, look, in my life, I've lost many battles, but I've never lost a war because I always try to do what's right. She's always asked God to order my steps and let me do the right thing. And she said, if I'm wrong, I want to be corrected. And her words were so powerful. Then I remember at the end of her pep talk to us, it was about 25 of us in the room. She said, listen, the day will come when we will meet in convention and nominate Madam President. And as Kamala Harris gave her speech, I stood there and I just cried. And I could just hear Miss Chisholm say, Madam President. And I was just so, it was so prophetic. And to me, that is inspirational because, you know, if you keep working, you keep trying. So that's why I'm wearing my pearls, and I'm going to wear my pearls every day. So if you keep working, you keep trying, I know that somehow you bank blessings, and I know good comes out of it. So don't worry, you just keep doing what you do. Sometimes it seems hard, and sometimes we have to encourage each other because that's all we got. But then we got to do what we got to do. So you be encouraged, you be inspired, and whatever you want to do, you go do it, you know, because you can make it happen.
Yeah, I so brilliantly and eloquently stated. I agree 100% with you. I think that even before retirement, you had a vision. You had a vision in terms of helping people throughout the world, helping students, helping people who were, you know, African American, and you put your action behind your words. So a lot of times people don't put action behind their words. They have a vision, but they don't really go forward with it. Like you said, what your grandmother said, you know, people can discourage you, but you have to keep your eyes set on the prize. And you sat there with the amazing Shirley Chisholm, whom I adore, and Regina, I forgot
Oh,
Regina's last name, is making a film about her life.
yes.
So you sat there, what, almost 40, 50 years ago, and listened to this woman speak prophecy, prophetic words. And
Yes.
because she was so humble herself and
Yes.
such a charismatic, dynamic woman, she was a petite little thing,
She
but
was
she was just,
tiny.
yes, but she was a ball of fire. And
Yes.
when she spoke, people listened. And they tried, I know in the beginning of her career, to put her on a committee as a congresswoman that had no value. She said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be on that committee. This is the committee I'm going to be on, one that's going to effectively affect and benefit the people whom I represent in New York State. And she got away. People listened to this little petite
Yes.
powerhouse, and she was forever committed and focused on her vision, as are you. And I am so impressed with her words that are now coming to pass with the president. I'm calling her president-elect Kamala Harris. So yes, it's come full circle. You know, all people have to do is to stay focused on their vision like you've done. You've stayed focused and you're making things become a reality. And you yourself are a powerhouse, Tish. Wherever you go, people who have encountered you hold you in the highest regard. And it's just wonderful because what you're doing without trying to do it intentionally is you're setting an example as a role model. Like I tell people, we're all role models. If you're in front of people, in front of the public, you are a role model, whether or not you believe it or not. So people are watching our actions and our words and seeing if they match up, if there's a contradiction. And for you, you've been always a person who's been charged politically, academically, and now in terms of the arts. So do you have anything else that you're working on now that you've completed your first film?
Well, actually, this is crazy, but I really haven't been doing a lot.
Talking to the mic, I can barely hear you.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is that better? Is this
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Well, basically, I have not really been doing that much film stuff of late. I've been trying to do stuff with the campaign. So I have decided that now I've got to turn and try to help get everybody to vote and try to get the message out. So hopefully after the election, we'll start doing some more film things. But right now, this is so critical, and so much is at stake that we've just got to really protect this country. Because I don't want to get political here, but we've just got a big task, and we've got to get so many people out to vote. That we have many first-time voters. We have people who have just not been involved in the process, and a lot of people we've got to educate about the idea of early voting, because that's very important. So that's what I'm working on now, trying to work with early voting and trying to make sure everybody gets a ballot and gets it cast properly. There are people
Well,
who are trying to take that right away from people. I spoke with a friend the other day in Texas who was talking about how some of the things they're doing there. I said, they're doing them here too. So we just got to get everybody, it's like what they say, you got to take Lottie, Dottie, and everybody to the polls to vote.
yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think the things that you're doing in all the other voter registration groups, the things that they're doing is it's just really commendable, because people are being very action oriented and people are getting really, really involved. So I think that
oh, go ahead.
I think that the vision of the late great Shirley Chisholm is right there. We're on the precipice of it. And I think that people should put forward ahead and talk positive about any election. My thing is, if people start giving what they don't desire to happen, the energy, that's what's going to happen. A lot of times people focus on the things that they don't desire and they bring it into reality, because I'm into energy. And then they wonder, well, how did that happen? It's because that's all you talked about. If you focus on the person and the ideals that you desire to have manifested, the universe is going to listen to that. But if you focus on the other issues and the person or the opponent, this movie called The Secret back in 2006 explained it very well. Energy energy flows where attention goes. So wherever your attention is, if your attention is on something that you do not desire in terms of this election or in terms of anything, that's what's going to show up. So my thing, like what Tish has done throughout her life, she focused on the things that she desired and they manifested. She listened to her grandmother, and she knew the story of her great-great-grandfather, who never gave up. I'm not going to tell you what happened in the story, but it really, really had a really positive ending, because they never gave up. They kept on task. And so the family benefited at the end. At first, it seemed like there was going to be a little interesting ending, but it ended very well because they stayed focused. So like with this period of time in history, this is historic, what we're going through in terms of having a woman of color whose father was Jamaican, mother was from India, be nominated for the presidency. This is Shirley Chisholm ran for president in the 1970s, and she got some votes. She because what she was doing was symbolic. She may not have thought that she would have been nominated or would have by the Democratic Party or elected, but she got people thinking. And then after her, Jesse Jackson did it. He got people thinking. And then President Barack Obama. So it's just like the foundation had been laid because people who had the vision that this would one day happen stepped out and they became the role models. And then after that, other people said, oh, if they did it, I can do it. I can do it. So now it's becoming more of a possibility and reality than a long shot. But someone like Shirley Chisholm, whom Tish met, stepped out and did it. So I have the utmost respect for her. And so I'm waiting for the film to be made. I know Regina had a serious loss where her son died who committed suicide.
It's already been made.
It
It's
was
out.
put on hold for a second. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's out. It's out already.
Oh, it's out already?
I think it's on. I think it's on. I think it's on Prime. It's either Prime or Amazon. It's either. Yeah, I think it's on Prime.
Okay. Oh, so it's not hitting the theaters.
No, 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 no. It's done on another platform. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime. Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
saw it actually. I saw it maybe like a month or so ago. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know that. I hadn't seen anything really saying that it had been made and that it was out on Prime. So I'm glad that you're talking about it and mentioning it. So those people who would like to know more about the late great Shirley Chisholm, her story now is on Prime. As Tish just mentioned, and you can view it on Prime and see the wonderful things that she has done. You know, when she was here on Earth, she was a powerhouse. She was amazing. Just like my idol, Fannie Lou Hamer. I
Oh,
love
yes, yes.
Fannie Lou Hamer was just amazing. It's because of Fannie Lou Hamer we have Black delegates. You know,
Yes.
nationally, because she fought for that. Even though they tried to get rid of her speech in 1964 with Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was the president. They switched out when she started to talk, but then the late news covered it, so he wasn't successful. He said, "Let me just switch up this illiterate Black woman." She was a powerhouse too, so I will be very happy to see her story told. Yeah, and Tish, you remind me of Fannie Lou Hamer too.
Oh,
So her story is powerful. It's very
well,
powerful.
well, the thing of it is that, Fannie Lou Hamer was the inspiration for Shirley Chisholm, because Fannie Lou Hamer was in 64 and Shirley Chisholm was in 72. And
Yes.
so everybody inspires everybody else, so it's you just got to do what you got to do. The other thing that I've been involved in the past few years is gun violence. And in Georgia in the mid 1990s, we were able to write the gun victims, the crime victims advocacy Bill of Rights. So I was instrumental in getting that legislation done here in the state. And one of the things that I've done with my congressman here in Georgia is we've been working on programs about gun violence. For example, the whole idea to have Walmart stop selling guns and weapons. That was some of the work that we had done, and that kind of started here in Georgia. And so now, unfortunately, this is current events. I live less than 20 miles from where the school shooting occurred, recent school shooting occurred. And one of the things that has really got to me is how one jurisdiction cannot report what happens to another jurisdiction. When I see that a crime was committed, where a young person talk about shooting up a school in the jurisdiction next door, they were not able to tell about what had happened and how the FBI had been involved. And my thing now is, no, this needs to be communicated on some kind of national database. I'm sorry, but if it involves saving lives, then you need to put out there that this person has made terroristic threats. This person has marveled in hurting others. You need to let everybody know so that they will be well aware, and this person will never have access to weapons or environments where they can go and commit big crime. I mean, so that's one of the things. I guess that's my latest soapbox. I guess that's why a lot of my film stuff has been put on hold, because that's something I intend to fight for and lobby for. And I really would like to take a delegation of people to Washington and just tell the people in Congress, look, either you do this, we work for you, you do this, or you don't, then we have to find your replacement. And I don't mean to be radical when I say that, but you represent the people. And if you cannot fulfill the needs and wishes of the people, then perhaps you should find other means of employment. And that may seem a bit harsh, but I think
No,
that
I
your
agree.
job is to represent the people who
Mhm,
sent you there, and not to cater to the big money lobby groups. So
mhm. No, I agree
that's my latest
100%.
thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I think that your retirement is not only something that's focused on film, and I know you used to do one woman kind of show called Gospel Granny, who was really funny. But it includes activism as well as some other things, which is really, really important. So I think we're going to really see another phase of the glorious Tish come out as, well, you've always been an activist, but an activist in terms of getting people to deal with current issues like gun violence, like promoting people into positions of power in terms of politics, and the ones who definitely reflect the interests of the people that they represent, their constituents. Because what happens is sometimes people become career politicians and they get in office and then they just assume that they will be reelected every year because they've gotten comfortable. And I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, that people need to be held accountable because they work for us. And sometimes they forget that. They work for us. We put them in office and they are our employee, not the other way around. And
Exactly.
sometimes they think that they are by not answering emails, telephone calls, or whatever. And people have gotten complacent. And sometimes people, the voters, sometimes they feel as though they can't do anything because they feel like uh, that their interests are not being heard. But you have to go to the meetings, because I know in the former county where I lived, I was at the commissioners' meetings with the US representatives. I was writing letters. So you can't sit on the sidelines and expect for change to happen. You have to be involved. As Tisha, she's involved in so many different areas, and she's put her latest interest on hold because there's a dire need now. We're at a critical point with the upcoming election. So she's putting her interest into that area because we need more activism in that area. People are very, very active, but we need more activism from people who are seasoned, mature, and golden, like Tish, because we have more time. So we need to get involved. We need to make sure that our interests are heard, as whatever your demographic is, be it people who are seasoned, mature, and golden, be people who are females, African Americans, Native Americans, Latinos, Caucasian, whatever your specific group is, you need to get involved, particularly now that some of us have more time because we're not working a 9 to 5. And we have more control over our time. We're not just working in a job just so we're broke. We're no longer doing that, most of us. So I think this is amazing. I'm glad that we've had a chance to talk, because we were talking about a fun field.
The one last thing I want to say is, when you do this, as Shirley Chisholm and Rosa Parks and all of them did, you gotta teach and prepare others, and you gotta bring them
Yeah.
along with you, and you gotta be patient. I know sometimes they may have horrible attitudes and may not be trustful, but you gotta believe in the process, and that was the beauty of women like Shirley Chisholm and Rosa Parks. You saw they always taught somebody, they always carried somebody along. So you've always got to be patient. You've always got to try to encourage and still inspire them that, look, when I was a little girl, the same grandmother who made the quote would always tell me, and I don't know why she would say that. She would say, honey, one day you got to take my place. And Granny would always show me how to do things, even from things like Granny used to love to read the Bible, and she would teach me a certain way to read the Bible. She would show me how to do this. And I said she had incredible patience. And I tend to be very, very impatient, but I have to say, stop, stop, stop. Don't do that. And sometimes I have to say, don't be judgmental. Just stop and help them with the process. And that's what we got. In order to keep it going, we got to carry somebody with us. And I think the important thing is, they may have more skills in certain areas than you do. You say, well, just show me how to do it. And I tell them, I get in my old lady routine. I say, come here, baby, show me how to do it. And I have a little niece who's 17 years old, who loves to do things to my phone, who one day said to me, she said, look, when you have problems with your phone, you come to me. Don't go to anybody else. And I said, yes, sweetheart, I will come to you. So you have to empower them, encourage them, and take them along with you, because that's the only way that we can keep it going. You have to take somebody with you.
Each one teach one, each one reach one. Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah, I believe in that. So what are some of the pearls of wisdom that Tish would like to leave behind for people who are watching?
Always laugh, always have a good time, no matter what's going on. Always find some humor and some fun, and be positive. Always look for the positive energy. If there's negative stuff, you just kind of, yeah, sometimes you got to deal with things that are not so pleasant, but always try to find, and in every situation, remember the lesson. Out of everything bad, there comes something good. And you say, what is in the lesson? If it happens to you, it's either to teach you a lesson, or it's teaching you to prepare for something greater. And when you go through things, I kind of believe that, the reason God took you through something so that you can be a resource for others who are going through, to encourage and let your light shine so that others may be inspired by your good work. And I mean, it's very difficult. People will always say negative stuff. Don't let that bother you. People may not respect you. Let me tell you, Black women are the most disrespected people on the planet. But guess what? We are the mothers of the earth. Did you know the oldest living bones found on this planet are those of a Black woman that were found along the Nile River? So when somebody get into their little mode, I say, I don't care who you are and where you come from. Your mama is a Black woman. I said, because she was found along the Nile River. I said, so you can run your mouth, you can say what you got to say. But we always know, we always have to go back to the rock, because we have been the people who have sustained, who've nurtured, and who've mothered this planet. Even when our own men have turned against us, we still have been there, and we are the strength. So we don't let things bother us. We just keep rolling. We be like the little engine that could. We just keep going along and just keep bringing everybody along. So, and another one of Shirley Chisholm's famous phrases, which I sometimes don't use. She said, you can lead, you can follow, or you can get out of the way. So I believe that you can lead, you can follow, but we're going to be here anyway. You can come with us or you can stay, but we're going to keep on going, and you can decide where you want to fit in.
Very, very, very profound. It's true. I think that what we're seeing now in history is historic in terms of the presidential nomination, but a lot of things. I think women are feeling more empowered, women of all races, and especially, African-American women. People are stepping forward now. You cannot hold people back because the internet, I think, is a blessing in a lot of ways, because people are able now to gain access to information that they weren't able to have before the internet, because they would have to go to the library, look it up. They didn't want to spend the time. Now, to know who you are, to know about your lineage, because that's what you were talking about, Tish, basically, is you can just go on the internet and find out about people like Fannie Lou Hamer, Shirley Chisholm, And a lot of people know about Rosa Parks, even though there was a teenager who came before her, who sat on the bus before, but because she was a teenager and poor, they didn't really promote her. I think her last name was Colvin.
Claudette
So,
Colvin. Well,
yeah.
actually, what happened? They all went to the same church, and what people don't know, and I've been to that church over in Montgomery. They had a club, and the club had I think about 20 of the women, and they would pay, I think it was like a dime, a quarter a month they had a little treasury and they had been sitting on the bus for years. They've been doing that for 7, 8 years. And every month, one of them would go sit on the bus. And they had this little fund where they would use the money from their little club to get people out of jail. And Miss Claudette Colvin, and recently she died recently, but we got a chance to to fellowship with her a few years ago. But they had been doing this for years. If you go and look at South Africa, when even though the men like Bishop Tutu and President Mandela got all the praise, but the sisters led by people like Winnie Mandela, they've been doing that stuff for years. So as women, we have always done things and we've not always got the recognition for it. Mother Fannie Lou Hamer and the sisters over in Mississippi, they had been doing that stuff for years, but yet they never got recognized. And, and I guess one thing I think about is that, in this country, Black women particularly didn't have the right to vote till 1965, to the Voting Rights Act. And we have not let that stop us. We have been meeting, you hear stories from childhood about how the women little auxiliary would meet and they would plan things for the community. And you know what? And we've not stopped. We've continued that. And we will continue that because we may not get the outward recognition, but it's not the one in front, but it's the one behind the scenes who do things. They always say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. So we rule the world. It may be quietly. I used to always tell students, I say, you watch the quiet person. You watch that person who doesn't have a lot to say. I think about my own mother who was just kind of quiet and she would sit back. But my mother always got everything done that she said she was going to do. And you were sitting there running your mouth and she was sitting there making plans. And she knew how to execute her plans. So that's what you have to remember. So and it's not the one with the loud megaphone who's out there screaming who gets, I guess one final story, not final story, but I had an opportunity one year. I was in Washington at the Congressional Black Caucus, and I was in the concourse of the Washington Convention Center, and I saw people huddled on the floor, and I said, "Who is that?" And I got close, and I saw this little bitty lady. She was nowhere near 5 feet tall. She must have been about 4'9" or 4'10". It was Mother Rosa Parks. She was tiny, and she probably didn't weigh nowhere near 100 pounds. And she never spoke above a whisper. And I just sat across the aisle looking at her. And I said to myself, I said, you know what? She never speaks above a whisper. I said, but Mother carries a bazooka. You don't mess with her. I said, so it's not always the loud, voiceless person. It's the person who's effective, who is continuous. Yeah. And that's why I love that story about the people from the church. And Edie and Mr. Edie Nixon was also a member of that church who was an attorney. And what happened, he had been a sleeping carport. I just learned this. And so he told the ladies, he said, look, if any of you get arrested, I'll come get you out of jail. And they had that whole thing set up where they had the money pay the bail, and Mr. Nixon would go get them out of jail as their attorney. So we've always done that. We've always figured out how to make a way out of no way, and we got to continue to do that.
And I think people are doing it in their own way, like how you're doing it, how this podcast is doing it. There are people, like you said, who are doing things in a way that may not be publicized, that may be somewhat clandestine. And as you said, the clandestine movements are the ones that are most effective. And that's what happened with my Shiro, with Harriet Tubman, with the Underground Railroad. It wasn't something that everyone knew about. It was an underground movement, and it was very effective. And she said she would have freed more than 300 people had they known that they were slaves in their mentality.
Right.
So I think what we're doing now is showing people, don't be a slave in your mentality in 2024. Don't be complacent. Understand that you still have to be active, like you, an activist, even if you're retired, you have to still, because you haven't retired from life, you're still a part of this planet, and the planet needs your activism, the planet needs your compassion, the planet needs your care, your wisdom. So in the golden season years and 50 plus, you can contribute in however way you desire to contribute, publicly or in a clandestine way, but still contribute because you're here on the planet. And the planet needs you. Humanity needs you, because each one, like Tish was talking about, each one teach one, each one reach one. If everyone was on the same accord about peace, love, harmony, equity, and compassion, war would stop like that. So everything would just shift. But but people think that what they do doesn't matter. One vote, your one vote does matter, because your one vote times 1 million, right? If everyone thought their vote didn't matter, all 1 million people, then we would have some issues. So you do matter. As a great lives person, you do matter as a human being, you do matter as a global citizen, because this is a global movement, you do matter. So whatever your passion is, if you no longer are working in the workforce, you now have more time. Because that's what a lot of people would say when they're working. If only I had more time, you now have more time to get involved politically, economically, spiritually, whatever your passion is, because it does matter. And your great life is on the rise. Believe that you are important. I believe that you are. Tish believes that you are. So we have to, that's why I'm mobilizing people now within this demographic, whatever your particular interest is. You can find someone like Tish. Tish, give them your information during the few minutes that we have left, if people would like to contact you.
Well, you can email me. My email is simple. It's just tishglover@gmail.com. It's very, very simple. tishglover@gmail.com. And I'll get you whatever information I have. And hopefully I'll see you out. And anything that really ruffles you, I'll see you lobbying, or I'll see you campaigning. But hey, we got to be out there. And remember, you got to take one with you. You know, we lift as we climb. You always take somebody with you. Because you know what? Nobody gets anywhere by themselves. We all get somewhere because we stand on the shoulders of those people who went before us. So always remember your responsibility.
Definitely. And it's Tish, Tish, Glover, Glover, @gmail.com. Again, it's Tish, T as in Tom, ISH, Glover, GLOVER @gmail.com. Definitely. And like I tell people, when people tell me, especially young people, no one has helped me, I said, that's not true. If you're taking public transportation, the bus driver had to open the door for you to get on the bus.
Right.
So no matter what you do, because a lot of them feel like they got where they are on their own. No one gets where it gets anywhere on his or her own. Someone is helping you at some stage. You go to the grocery store, the cashier is helping you, or the machine. Someone is helping you. So just keep that in mind. You are not here on this planet alone. You are here to be interactive and for us to cooperate and for us to help one another. That's my belief. So Tish, thank you so very much. I really appreciate your wonderful insights, and you are just amazing. This is an amazing person. She gave you all of the things that she's been involved with throughout her life. She's been an activist. And so thank you. If you have any questions about the political process or whatever, you can send her an email. She lives in Georgia like I do, and she's very astute about politics, especially Georgia politics. Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Gray lives on the rise. Yes, yes. We are who? We are what?
Lives on the rise.
We are who? 50 plus. We are what?
Gray lives
on the rise. Namaste, beloveds. Until next time, enjoy your week. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.